So Grant, you have now been here at the city for...
It's only been a couple months now. I think I'm maybe 8 weeks in, so.
Was there a moment that brought you to practice of law?
I worked for many years at MCI, doing project management and IT work, fixing a lot of computer type problems. And I'd had friends that practiced around these parts, and I was observing someone repave a parking lot, and the old cracked asphalt got recovered with impossibly black new asphalt and bright gold lines, and it was just repaving an old parking lot. I remember looking at that and thinking, boy, those people are really making a difference. And though I liked solving problems, helping people with computer problems, I didn't feel like I was moving the needle as far as the greater good or the community or even the people I was really working with were involved. And so that was when I decided that I wanted to look for other opportunities, and the law then had always been in the background as something I'd been interested in just generally, right? But that's sort of the instance. But it was born out of a desire to do more.
Yeah. Now that you're a city attorney, you started your career in private practice as doing, presumably not writing ordinances a whole lot. What's that difference that you've found between those two styles?
So actually, I started in public practice in law school with my provisional licenses, interning as a prosecuting intern, and then in fact writing ordinances through even the legal clinic in law school. So I've always had a foot on both sides. I loved private practice, the thrill of it, and the freedom of it, and I enjoyed that very much. The difference is that you know who your client is in public practice. My client is the entity, that's the city of North Liberty. And you get to, rather than having a one-off transactional type relationship where I'm going to buy or sell this house or going to prosecute or defend this particular lawsuit for this particular issue, there's an ongoing history that happens. And of course, there are legal technical differences in the process, but I enjoy the prospect, and so far, even though I've been here only 8 weeks or so, building up these relationships that are going to last over time.
Yeah. So what's a day in your life like here?
Well, after we take care of the kids and get them ready for daycare and such, I live here in town, so I have a short drive here to work. I'll check in with my legal assistant to see if anything's happened in the 15-20 minutes that she's been here that I hadn't, and then we dive into the email and the projects, and I will have between 10 and 15 different things going on any given day at any given time, from streets department questions to police and fire to communications directors. Council members, the mayor might have questions for me about something that's coming up on the agenda, something that they've had a question about, something that they're having difficulty with. If I am aware of an issue, then whether that comes from whatever source, then I need to identify those people, and it's just a long rolling to-do checklist.
Yeah.
And so keeping tabs on ongoing things and being aware of new things as they come up.
Are there things that surprised you?
When you deal with lawyers all day, you assume, well, there are lawyers and non-lawyers, right? And you get into the mindset of dealing with lawyers, and I can't talk with you, you're not a lawyer, right? And the level of skill and knowledge and depth of experience that everyone has here has just knocked my socks off, and that's something that I feel like I should have remembered But it's been really gratifying.
What strikes fear into your lawyer heart?
It's surprises, right?
Yeah.
And that's universal. I get a higher quality of information here in public practice, generally from the people I was telling you that I work with.
Yeah.
But finding new information that was unknown to us or was unavailable, and then that might change the course of how we might react to something, right? So striking fear, I mean, hopefully nothing ever gets that far, right? But cause for concern, sure.
So you mentioned your family. You have young children.
Yes, 3.5 and well, 8 weeks.
8 weeks. Is starting a job and not starting fatherhood, but starting parenthood again. That's a challenge.
Yeah, it is.
How do you? What do you do for fun to forget about that path you've chosen?
I will tell you, not a lot right now. When you have children, new children especially, your life narrows. Yeah. Everything at the outside kind of falls away, and so I was invited to a party this weekend that I didn't get to go to, and that's okay. It's eat, sleep, and repeat, change, and so on. And then as they get more progress, then your word widens up a little bit, and you get some of that back. What I do for fun, the wife and I, and now our children, we do enjoy getting out and doing community events. The one we've done every year that we loved in Iowa City was we just did the Festival of the Arts, started the Arts Fest yesterday, and we finally found a piece that fits above our couch for the first time in 10 years. We've had a gap over our couch at 3 different places that we've lived, never finding a piece that we liked. So we like to get out and about and do trendy, topical stuff, whatever's happening right now. So on Saturday we took our kids to the McBride Raptor Center. My wife used to volunteer out there, and it's fun to go see the owls. They had a family day there. So try to do family fun stuff. I used to be a huge nerd. No one will believe that, but it's true. So I used to have, we would have board games and that sort of thing with friends, dinner with friends, that sort of thing. Less frequent now than I would like, but I'm sure we'll have more of that as the kids get older.
But you can teach your kids like good games that aren't Monopoly. Or Monopoly Junior.
Sure, right. I understand, and I don't think I've ever actually played a game of Monopoly the way it's supposed to be played. Are you familiar with this? Did you hear this?
I haven't heard this, no.
I've turned into a late night host. Did you hear the news? Apparently, when you land on a piece in Monopoly, you can, if you don't buy it for what other values, it goes to auction.
Yeah.
Anyone can buy this piece.
Yes.
But that is not how we ever play. It's right in the rules.
Yeah, the rules of Monopoly are pretty horrible.
I don't disagree, and yet I would never play Monopoly because it's apparently 5 or 6 hours. You know, it takes forever because you're waiting to land on the piece that you want to land on because you can't buy it and that was apparently not true. So we might end up playing Monopoly. That was all preamble to say I've got a board, and they phased out. I don't know if they phased out the iron or what, but we still have the shoe and the race car, the horse. So I think we're ready to go.
Well, that's good. What do you do besides hope that someday you'll get back to board games, do for fun, or aspire to do?
What do I do for fun?
Yeah.
One nerdy hobby that we enjoyed was geocaching. Yeah. It's like the world's lamest treasure hunt. Are you familiar with this?
I am well aware of it.
Okay, so we would go geocaching, and we'll plan on bringing the kids along now in the future.
GPS, going and looking for a hidden cache.
Yes.
Right?
That's been usually put there by some group like the Boy Scouts or something. You use your GPS on your phone or GPS device, and you follow a set of coordinates and a clue to get to a hidden thing at a often public location, right? Well, always public, I should say. But what we like about this, what I like about it, is not the finding of the thing, but that these things are often hidden in places of interest themselves. And so there's a cache that was hidden in an old neighborhood that had a really interesting historical story to a context to it. It was a rock that we used to walk past all the time. Had no idea that there was a story past it until related to it, until you find the thing, and while we're here, hey, what is this place? Oh, it's a Civil War camp over by Longfellow, for example, that the soldiers would gather in Iowa City and prep to modify all their uniforms, I guess, before. Do they muster? I don't know.
I think they muster.
So yeah, but that was one example of, but that's all a very nice way of saying TV. Mostly TV.
Yeah.
And then when we can force ourselves out of the house, then we do fun stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, the trick about Parenthood, right, is that as your kids start to stay up later, you realize that your TV time, like when they're really young, it's super easy, right? They're all in bed by 7 or earlier, and you're good to go.
Sure.
And then
my infant daughter loved The Wire, right?
Right, exactly.
She was asleep on the couch in the other room. But,
ours loves 6 Feet Under, but
sure.
But same thing, same idea. What's something that's interesting about you that wouldn't show up on your resume?
I put everything that is interesting about me on my resume, and many things.
Yours is more of a CV, okay.
It really is. That's all. Let's see.
And I realize this wasn't on my list of questions.
This was not on the list of questions of what things you might talk about.
I said personal stuff.
It really is. And so, well, obviously, I'm very quick on my feet.
Yeah.
People enjoy that. An interesting thing that would not be on my resume, I was a lousy student in grade school or high school, I should say. I was in the gifted and talented programs, and then when I got to high school, I didn't care about high school at all, and did terribly. Wasn't interested, couldn't, and there are some teenagers you can't talk to, and so I had, I think, an abysmal high school GPA, which is protected by FERPA, but I ended up having rejoined the real world, having to pay rent and get a job and do grown-up things, and then suddenly realized the value of a good education. That did not take long, and then from there went to Kirkwood and the University of Iowa, and then law school, all with honors at that point.
Yeah.
But I was not rebellious, but didn't want. So not always a book nerd. It would be the thing you would not see on my resume.
Is there anything else that you think people in North Liberty should know about you and the way you approach the law?
One of the jobs I mentioned was working as a prosecuting intern, and I worked under an assistant county attorney in Muscatine who was Kevin McKeever. He's now Judge Kevin McKeever here in the 6th District, which is Lynn Johnson and a number of other counties around here. And one of his tenets as a prosecutor was everybody gets the same. Everyone who's similarly situated should have a similar outcome, or at least the opportunity to have a similar outcome. And that really stuck with me. And I want to. So I've always been big on fair. And try to be patient and even-handed, and it wasn't until I saw it in practice, I think, that it's attainable in practice. That's something that I aspire to, is to make sure that I treat every situation with fresh eyes and with an eye towards having consistent, fair, predictable outcomes that people. I don't know about you. I want government to be boring a little bit. I think the last few years, our federal government anyway has been very exciting, and I long for the days when those things are predictable and a little mundane. And so that's what I shoot for is predictability and so on.
Great. Well, thank you.
I'm delighted to be here.